We're back on Morning Drive. It's time for the cut line. We hone in on players who narrowly made or missed the cut at the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide. And after shooting a 4 over 76 on Friday, Tiger Woods, who is somebody who has had as much success, actually more than anybody in the history of this event, he shot 76. And after his round, after just narrowly making the cut, had this to say.
I wasn't quite moving as well as I'd like, and couldn't quite, turn back and couldn't quite clear. So it was a bit of a struggle.
When did that start happening? Or anything particular start that?
Well, yeah, it started this morning during warm-up. It wasn't quite as good as I'd like, and it is what it is.
Does that happen very often, that you wake up and your back's okay and you feel loose, but during the warm-up something goes wrong?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, how often, how common is that?
Well, the last 4 or 5 years have been difficult as I've gone through procedures and have tried to come back.
So you never know exactly what you're going to have each day?
It's going to happen more times than not.
Thanks.
You talk about the physical strain, your back and all that. Have you noticed any fatigue over the last couple of years? Is it harder to just have that energy, or are you at the same level you've always been in terms of being tired or fatigued while you play?
Well, I don't have the same type of stamina as I used to have, that's for sure. When I was training harder and running and all that stuff, and granted, I'm a lot older now, so things change, they evolve, and it is what it is. Energy is. You try and suck it up as best you can and get through it.
How are you doing with aging? Is it it's a challenge?
Aging is not fun. Early on in my career, I thought it was fantastic because I was getting better and better and better, and now I'm just trying to hold on.
Well, Tiger's round of 76 included 3 birdies, 5 bogeys, and a double bogey. He hit 5 of 14 fairways, 10 of 18 greens in regulation, 31 putts. This is the 4th time in his last 5 rounds he has shot over par, dating back to that second round of the Genesis Invitational. He is on the course now. You can watch his round via PGA Tour Live on NBC Sports Gold. Stuart, of what you just heard, how much of it hits you where you live? Because I would imagine there are several things that he said that resonates with you.
Oh, look, I mean, if you want your resident expert and I come on your show just to talk about backs, you're looking at the man right here. We're talking about the strongest mental guy maybe that ever played the sport. And golf is an extremely abusive sport to the back. You have rotation, yes, but you have tilt and rotation at the same time. So just a terrible combination. So you think about Tiger. He's a guy who rocked up to the range or the tee and everyone knew he was the man to beat. He had progress in his game. He had results, majors, wins, you name it, right? So he's like the guy that goes to build a house, and he can put every nail in the 2x4, bang, bang, and the house is done in a week. Imagine rocking up with his tool belt now, and he doesn't know where to put the nail, whether that's going to hold, what beam should I cut next, and all of a sudden, he just doesn't meet code. He has a body that lets him down, no matter how mentally strong and willing he is. The thing that stands in front of his progress is a repeatable body. And he has not got that. And you noticed him missing short putts. So when you lose your body, you lose everything. You can't go, well, I just hope I putt well and we'll see what happens. And, I'll make something of this. He honestly, I don't think wants to be here on this weekend. He needs to get home, have rest, try and reboot some software that gets him to the next tournament. Because right now, there's no point. There's nothing to be gained by him being on site, except obviously watching online and tracking Tiger progress. But he's in a world of hurt, and I cannot see how he's going to get out of it for more than the odd week here and there.
Well, Jaime, that's really interesting. For somebody who has not played competitive golf in 5 months, for somebody who has had his own chronic back issues, Stuart suggesting that what he needs now is not to play, where a lot of people would say, the reps, a few more competitive rounds. If this is, in fact, the one start that he's going to have between now and that what is now the first major of the year, it's interesting. It appears that he is going to collaborate on his memoir with a guy named J.R. Mooringer. And for those folks who don't know, he's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. He wrote a book about the legendary bank robber Willie Sutton. And one of the great lines that I love is that time is a thief, and he's not subtle. And here's a man who's 44, biologically don't know how he feels day to day. Jaime, are we in a position now that we really have to be prepared, if we're not already prepared to do so, to pivot round to round with what we think either the next start, the next month, or the next season is going to look like for him, and be ready, by the way, to pivot off of that pivot every single day?
Well, I think there's just one major pivot, and it occurred early this year. He came into this year looking like he was going to be back on a second prime with his incredible ball control and the way he played at the Zozo and at the President's Cup, having won the Masters last year. And the first 3 months this year or 2 months were very flat, and it was injury prone. A guy who was, as Stuart just put it, just simply doesn't have the repeatable body. And then we look at this, pandemic creating all this time for Tiger to heal and work out and get himself ready. And he comes to Memorial and his back in the second round gives out. So the pivot is, this is the new normal. Everything's random. We can't count on anything in terms of Tiger being at his best. When he's healthy, to me, he's still incredibly good. He's a genius. It's beautiful to watch. But if he's not, he's just ordinary. That game he had yesterday is just not good enough to win. It's not good enough to beat Tiger Woods anymore. And that's the problem. Can he in any way regulate that and get it back to when, after the fusion surgery at first, he seemed to have a consistent body, but that's gone away for whatever reason. I don't know if it's temporary. I don't know if it's permanent, but if it's permanent, it's going to be just very small windows where Tiger can win again. And hopefully it'll be at a major, and hopefully he converts in this incredible way, because he does have the most powerful mind. But if his body's not anywhere near where it used to be, the most powerful mind, as Stuart said, won't matter. And the resignation in his comments and his tone yesterday seemed to show that he has accepted that on a level that was beyond last year, for example. It reminded me back in 2015 at the end there, where he was talking about everything after this will be gravy. It looks like that right now.
And I would imagine, Stuart, in moments where you feel pretty good, and then suddenly the next morning you don't, that it is like taking one on the chin. Do you agree with Jaime, though, that if he is, again, we're not far from the Kennedy Space Center, and I almost feel like maybe every start for him is like a space launch, and that anything that could possibly go wrong is going to abort the mission. If he's right, is he still as dangerous as anybody?
Well, remember we used to get criticised for how he rated his game. Well, how was your game this week? Oh, I had C game, and he won. And he can win with a C game. Basically, if I had a chance, I had to have my A game. And he has the best he's got now is his C game, right? The best he's got. So right now, that may turn up once a year. We saw the Masters. We obviously saw the Tour Championship. Is it lightning in a bottle? Well, if anyone can capture lightning in a bottle, it's him. Yes, he is the rocket launch. He's on the launch pad all the time. So much news. But, boy, yes, he can win, but he needs a body for 3.5 rounds at least, and to even have a chance of winning any tournament that he might enter.